Hello and welcome to today's video where we are going to be continuing our look at algebra. And you might be looking at this algebraic expression on our lightboard here and thinking to yourself, wow, that looks really difficult to figure out. And that's understandable because algebra for a lot of kids is something that's new and something different. I want to make this video to kind of put your fears to rest a little bit because it's not as difficult as you might think it is. So how are we going to do this? Well, when we look at this expression, 2x plus 10 equals negative 5x minus 3 plus 1, we got a lot going on in there. Math, we like to simplify things. We like to make things easier for us to be able to solve. Now, there is a way that we can simplify this, and we are going to do a concept called combining like terms. And what that means is that we are going to be putting all of the variables together and all of the constants together. And in math, the easiest way to go about doing that would be to do a concept which we've looked at in previous videos called zero principle, or canceling out. So if you go back and watch some of our integer videos, you will see that process happen. I believe we actually have a video on zero principle altogether where we're drawing like positive and negative integers and showing the cancellation of things. Well, that is a very easy concept to kind of pick up, and if you have that, it will make solving this significantly easier. So let's get started and show you how this works. Essentially what we have here is we've got variables on both sides, which are both x, and they are the same variable. They are both x. So we could put those together theoretically, but how do we move one of the variables to the other side of equals? Well, the easiest way for us to do that would be to cancel it out. So if we look at this, let's go ahead and do this. If I was to keep 2x on this side, because in math it's probably easier for us to keep the variables on the left side of the equal sign and move all of the constants to the right side of the equal sign. And if you're not familiar with those terms, variable and constant, the x is a variable and it's a placeholder for a number. The constant is a number that has a specific value already designated to it. So this 10 is always going to be worth 10. It's never going to change, whereas this x could technically be any number while we're trying to figure this out, and we're trying to figure out what that x potentially is. So let's cancel some of this stuff out and try to make this easier for us to understand. So using the concept of zero principle, let's keep our variables to the left of equal sign. So the equal sign is right here. So I'm going to keep 2x here. 2x. And then I have to keep the constant here because I'm not doing anything with it yet. I will be, but not yet. I want to move this guy. And how do I cancel this out? Well, if I have negative 5x, to cancel out negative 5 groups of x, I'm going to add 5 groups of x. So watch, if I go negative 5x plus 5x minus 3 plus 1, because I haven't done anything with these guys, now all of a sudden I've canceled this. But if you remember anything in algebra, what we need to do is we need to do this to both sides to keep our equation in balance. And that's what algebra is. It's very much like a scale, where if I do something to one side, like let's say that these two things equal each other, if I remove this cap, then all of a sudden this is going to be out of balance. So I want to keep things in check. So if I added 5x to this side, then I have to add 5x to that side. So technically, this becomes 2x, and I'll do it in a different color. This becomes 2x plus 5x plus 10 minus 5x plus 5x. Now, we know that minus 5x and plus 5x, they cancel each other out. So they're gone. And that leaves us with negative 3 plus 1 on this side. So let's rewrite this equation. I'll do it in pink. We have 2x plus 5x. Well, if I add 2x's and 5x's together, that is 7x's all together. But then I have this plus 10. And on this side, I've got negative 3 plus 1. I've got my variables all on the left side of x, but I still have a constant that has not been moved. Now, how would I do that? Well, if it worked for the variables to zero it out on one side, then it must work for the constants as well, I would think, right? So, technically, if I subtracted 10 and subtracted 10 here, because what I do to one side I have to do to the other, which is what we just said, then I should be able to cancel this out, correct? Yeah, that is correct. That leaves me with a canceled out. I have 7x, and that is going to be equal to negative 3 plus 1 minus 10. So if I have negative 3 plus 1 minus 10, now all I have to do is just try and figure out what this is. So I would have 7x's is equal to negative 3 plus 1. Well, negative 3 plus 1 would be negative 2. And then I'm subtracting 10 more from it, which gives me 7x is equal to negative 12. And now if you look at this, this is very much one-step algebra, where if I took and divided this by 7 and divided this by 7, I'm going to get x is equal to a number. And I started with this, which looked incredibly difficult and incredibly daunting, and I just zeroed some things out in order to get to what my answer is. Now, that is what combining like terms is going to do. And it is no different if I jump over to this side for a second. It is no different. Let me see if I can erase this actually. It is no different if I'm going to be combining on both sides of equals or if I'm combining on the same side of equals. So let me rewrite a question out here so you can see what I'm talking about. What if I had something that looked like this? If I had negative 2x plus 3x minus 4 plus 8. Well, there are quite a few numbers in there, but I can put the numbers that are the same together. So if you look at negative 2x plus 3x, well, if I have negative 2 and I'm adding 3 to it, essentially I just have a single x. I had negative 2 x's, 2 negatives, and then I'm canceling them out with 3 positives, groups of x. That cancels those 2. That leaves me with a single one right here, so 1x. I'm left with 1x right there. And the same thing with this. If I have negative 4 plus 8, well, that's very much like an integer. If I had negative 4 plus 8, then essentially I have x plus 4. So I took something that had 4 numbers in it, and I was able to simplify it into 2 much more easily workable numbers. And essentially that's what algebra is. We are just canceling some things out to see if we can't get something to arrive at what this potential variable is. Now in this case, there really is nothing else I can do here because I don't have an equal sign over on the other side in order for me to determine, so I was just simply simplifying. So that is combining like terms. I invite you to rewatch the video. If you are new to these videos, by all means, please subscribe. Throw a comment down. If there are any questions, just leave a comment below and I can get back to you. Thanks very much.